right. Warmly welcome to the May edition of AI Monday from Helsinki. I am Petri Malmelin, a co-founder from a company called Amplify. Just a quick gallup. Which of you have been in AI Monday in the Audi library where we run this event a few years ago? A few hands up. Which of you were in Otaniemi 2017 autumn when I started this AI Monday event series? So who has been in Otaniemi AI Monday events? I see a couple of hands there. And I think then we were in Maria Startup Center also a short period of time. Then we were interrupted by this COVID bug. Anyhow, today we have a really interesting theme. It's how the AI will or likely will impact the way how we work, at work, in schools, in the society. But before we let the four speakers to run the show, Docent Patrick Florent, please join the stage. And what might be the news from Finnish Center of Artificial Intelligence?
Thank you, Petri. So I'm Patrick Florent from FKI, which maybe you have been here before, so you know that we deliberately mispronounce FCAI because it's so difficult to say that way. So I'm from the Finnish Center for Artificial Intelligence. And what we do is that we undertake research. It's the Finnish Center, so we have people involved from all universities, but we have funding from the Research Council of Finland for the founding fathers of this, namely University of Helsinki, Aalto University, and VTT. And actually, here you have the logos on the bottom. Usually, I'm here to tell about upcoming events, but you know that there's a strange phenomenon outside. I see a bit of sun, so summer is coming. It also means that I don't have too much to tell about upcoming events. We have this machine learning coffee seminar running all the time, so that of course is coming on. But for natural reasons, we don't have much events for the public, especially in July, so that's why it is like this. But maybe I give some other points of news. Last time I was standing here on this stage, I told a little bit about the new Ellis Institute Finland, which includes all the universities in Finland. And I told you already then that we had 360 applications for the professor positions that are up. And I don't really have a slide about it because this process is still ongoing. So what has been happening is that some 80 people have been interviewed in different universities, and we are in the process of finalizing things. So discussions are going on with the best candidates, and we will see what is the end result. But at the moment, I don't have a final result yet to report. So that I wanted to say, and then I also wanted to remind about things further after the summer. The main event we have in FKI is this AI Day, and this year it is 13th of November in Dipoli. Thanks.
Patrick, before you escaped the stage, I think first time I heard about FKI was about 2019. How many papers have FKI team written during these years?
Yes, so we started in 2019. Then it was when the Research Council of Finland funding started. And we have more than 3,700 scientific papers at this point.
3,700
So that is like six years. So we have to remember it's the sum of 6 years. So, and more than one university. So we have Aalto, University of Helsinki, and VTT in these numbers.
It's like tens per week, hundreds per year. That's amazing. All right. That was the FKI news. So now we get the show starting, and I think we should clap for FKI team of doing those marvelous things there. All right, the next speaker, the first true speaker today is Professor Petri Ylikoski. Please join us on the stage. You are from Helsinki University and also an active member of this FKI team. So the next 20 minutes we will be hearing what happens to the expert-driven work. Please, Petri. So there's a clock down there, so about 17, 20, 25,
yes.
I will start to make noise.
Thank you. So I'm a professor of science and technology studies. So I'm a sociologist. So I'm going to give you kind of social scientist perspective on what will happen for expert work with AI. This is not specifically my topic of study. I study technology, I study science, but there's a kind of obvious overlap, as scientific research is one of the kind of expert fields. And I'm mainly focusing on generative AI. So AI is a very broad concept, and it's not very useful for thinking. But when considering challenges to the expert work and fears of experts, I think the generative AI is kind of a thing that they fear, because all the other forms of AI and all the other forms of automation have basically been kind of building up expertise, kind of more work for experts running these systems and so on. But generative AI is something that people might fear, that they will take their works. I'm not going to make predictions who will lose their work, but I try to kind of give an idea how to think about this. This will be probably based on the research, but I have to say that as the phenomenon is quite new, there's quite little research, and then all the cases are kind of might be unrepresentative or otherwise uninformative, so you cannot really make a grand synthesis. But I will bring up some ideas from the research literature. First, I'm considering generative AI as a tool. So although there's a lot of talk about expectations that generative AI will develop to the general AI, I don't buy that story. I won't go into details. I think it's better to think generative AI, all these language model foundation, large language models, foundation-based models as cultural and social technologies that give us access to information other people have produced, and then they provide us means to reorganize, modify, and process them. So it's comparable to writing, printing press, internet, but also markets, state bureaucracies, and so on. All these human inventions are predecessors, and thinking about how they change our work, our knowledge about the world, and so on, are, I think, a good example to think when thinking about what would be the impact of generative AI. Other analogy, I think, might be an analogy to industrial revolution. So in industrial revolution, we transformed from manual work using tools, to operating machines. This was a long process, but I think similar things are now happening for intellectual work. So we are going to be doing more and more intellectual work using cognitive machineries provided by AI. And I think it's important to understand that this cognitive machinery can be seen in kind of a very long development pathway that started from people making pictures, people developing written languages, printing press, all these things. So this is a continuum of this process. Okay, as I said, it's early days for adoption of generative AI. We are in a phase of, let's say, that could be called user-centric innovation, in a sense that even the companies who are trying to sell these products don't know what are the actual useful uses for this, the tools they provide. They are looking for use cases and so on as everybody else. They are even struggling finding kind of business model for themselves. And this leaves kind of a room for a lot of kind of a grassroots exploration, innovation. And this is done by the employees in companies, universities, and other organizations. One interesting piece about this exploration is that it's partly done in secret. So people are hiding the use of these tools or that they're testing these tools. There are multiple reasons, and this is a very interesting phenomenon, but let's leave that aside. But the point is that people are trying it out, but not very necessarily very intensively. You have probably all seen these figures about adoption of Gen AI tools, but usually you get the biggest figures with the question, are you using them once or twice in a week? And using something once or twice a week is not really example of adopting it as part of your work. But in any case, basic character of this adoption is this, what in a literature people call jagged frontier of AI capabilities. So it's extremely difficult to anticipate where the tools work and where they don't work. So you have to explore them. And this gives the position for experts. Experts know when the system works, when the output is right sort of output, and so on. So this is expert-driven exploration. And although there are a lot of companies and organizations are developing their own tools, using their own data, those are coming in behind. Maybe in a couple of years, the situation would be different. Same goes for regulation, legislation, or kind of guidance and standards. So what kind of challenges AI systems provide for experts? One of them is that, okay, generative AI is trained to be plausible in a sense that it's kind of trained to give answers that are typically given to kind of answers that people like and give positive feedback and so on. And this is a problem for experts because it's quite typical human heuristic to kind of use fluency as a cue for accuracy. But it doesn't work in the case of a generative AI. It's grammatically correct, beautiful sentences, and it seems kind of composed, but that doesn't necessarily reflect the fact that it's based on accurate information or actual research. Because generative AI doesn't have any concern for truth or falsity. More recently, people have even observed that there's a tendency to please the user. So the system provides answers that the user likes. And I think both of these are challenges for experts. Okay, there's still a lot of discussion how persuasive generative language models can be. But I think they are at least dangerous with respect to the issues that we don't have a strong opinion or we like. So this has a kind of a possibility that is kind of a makes stronger our my-side bias in our thinking, which is also called confirmation bias, in a sense that we are using these tools to confirming our ideas, our beliefs, rather than using them to challenge. Maybe technology changes, and then systems start to challenge our thinking, but that at least is currently a problem. Other problem is that there are a few studies which show that people feel that use of AI tools expands their creativity. But then if you look at the population level, it's noticed that when people start using these tools, the variance, the diversity at the collective level reduces. So although as individual experiences of being more creative at the collective level becomes more mainstream, more average, and so on. I think this is also a major challenge because we need outside of the box thinking to be creative. Otherwise, we kind of get stuck with the existing patterns. How expert work changes. I'm thinking now more like a scientist and writing articles, main product of being publications. Thus far, before generative AI, the challenge was to come up with the ideas, finding things, analyzing things, and writing stuff out. This is becoming increasingly easy, facilitated, AI can help you with creative blocks and can facilitate your writing and so on. But what becomes more and more important is kind of a role of editing and supervising these tools. So checking the output, correcting it, giving new guidance and so on. So it's more like a moving to the, like in a newspaper, you have newspaper writers, you are moving more and more to the kind of editorial position. And editorial position, what is crucial about editorial position is the responsibility. You are responsible what the newspaper is publishing. And I think this is the key role for humans and experts in organization, no matter how much AI we have. So we are controlling and responsible for a lot of cognitive machineries. Of course, one thing that we have to do is to rethink things that we are doing. This came almost immediately out. This came out almost immediately after ChatGPT was published, but I think it's extremely insightful, because nowadays we are using, or people are using ChatGPT for the things that become pointless. Think about writing love letters. Without ChatGPT, there was a point of writing love letters. It was kind of showing that you were kind of putting a lot of effort and so on. But now with the ChatGPT, everybody can produce love letters. It doesn't have the same signaling value. So many things that we are doing are going to change. I'm going to predict this in this presentation. I will go forward. But I think the key thing that I think we have to focus on, and it hasn't been that much focus on debate, is bearing responsibility. So no matter what kind of organization you have, no matter what kind of expert job you have, increasingly your task is to take responsibility. So you have all these magnificent cognitive machineries, but their use requires vigilance. Think about Gen AI. It confabulates or hallucinates, as everybody knows. It's highly inconsistent in its responses. It's non-transparent. This is the major challenge of using it for scientific research. Nobody knows what goes inside. It's at least currently very bad in evaluating how confident it should be in its output. And also, prompting is kind of an open window for all kinds of malicious programming. So what you have to do is to be vigilant with all respect to all these things. Okay, some people say that these are problems that will go away, but I think these are fundamental, at least, to the way in which this generative AI works currently. And also, I think it's not necessarily better if we just reduce, let's say, the amount of confabulation these models produce. Because if the main task is to be vigilant and kind of look after and look for the mistakes and errors and so on, it might be better that they are done more frequently than rare, because that doesn't allow people to be complacent and satisfied with the output. And second, you still need a control. You have to define the tasks correctly. Depending how you prompt, you get very different answers. So when you are automating things or building AI agents, you have to define the tasks correctly. And this requires thinking, and no one is doing that for you. Second, you have to identify when the system is functioning correctly and when it's not, and what kind of products, outputs are adequate. And these are all related to this dimension of responsibility. And I think this should be highlighted. This is kind of an interesting example of this is scientific publishing. So for a long time, people were kind of thinking whose name is going to be in a paper that will be based, who has been writing the text. And then ChatGPT came out, and then people started to automatically add ChatGPT as an author. But that completely misses the main function of authorship in scientific papers, which is being responsible for the mistakes and the insights. ChatGPT is not responsible for the mistakes. OpenAI is not responsible for them. it's the authors who should be responsible. And I think this principle applies more widely. Our societies are built around distributing responsibilities and keeping people responsible, accountable, and so on. And to keep that working, we have to be responsible for the machines and machineries that we are using. Finally, I want to raise one issue about expertise, about the future of expertise, because now I have been describing that once you are expert, there are a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do as an expert. Your job description and task you do might change, but there are a lot of expertise to be needed. But I think big challenge is how we can maintain that expertise. So we have current generation of experts. What happens to the next generations? And this is a kind of thing that has been recently raised in the literature. A good example of this is this book by Matt Bean, The Skill Code. His basic idea is that all human learning, acquisition of skills is based on these kind of three principles: challenge, complexity, and connection. So challenge is that we have to face tasks that are a little bit more difficult that we can accomplish. Then this should be increasing complexity as we advance, but also we need connection, kind of an expert novice connection to guide this process. And this is the way we normally build expertise. And the threat with these new AI tools is that if you think about many organizations, law firms, scientific research labs, and so on, there are a lot of work that has been done by assistants, trainees, all kind of starting level positions. People in these starting level positions, they have been basically learning the ropes and kind of slowly expanding their competencies once, and ultimately, at least some of them become experts themselves. But now, if we replace all these annoying assistants, human assistants with AI tools, we are also blocking the development of these people. And that means that in the next generation, we might not have experts, or we have less qualified experts, or we don't have enough experts. So when thinking about organization, I think we should keep in mind the development of skills and expertise in long term, and rather than just kind of thinking that we could optimize the productivity by adopting these new tools, because it's kind of appealing for experts. Kind of if you can use AI tool instead of guiding all the new trainees and so on, that's probably more efficient. Probably the quality of product is better, but that's short-term benefit. But if you're thinking about in terms of the whole organization and kind of future of human expertise, is a problem. Of course, this is not only a problem for organizations, it's also a problem for us in our universities. So how do we teach people, students, cognitive skills? How we improve their current cognitive skills in a world where they can easily cheat in exams by using generative AI and so on. So they are outsourcing all the things that develop their thinking. That task might be pointless, but as a byproduct, they develop their thinking skills. But if they are outsourcing all that cognition, the tools, they might remain kind of a deficient in these skills. They are not matching our expectations. So I think this is one of the biggest challenges when you're thinking about future of expertise in the world of generative AI. Not what happens to the current experts, but what happens to the future of human expertise. And I think that's enough for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Petri. Hey, for people online and also in the room here, we'll take the questions to all presenters at the end. So I already have 2 questions in my mind. Next on the stage is from Dines Studios, Nina Hagman, and apologies, when I wrote this thing, I only kind of put there a word case. So you need to come here and tell What's the story? Welcome, Nina. It will be like 5:45, please.
Lovely, thank you. Hey everyone, nice to see so many people here, and I assume we also have some people online, despite the really lovely weather, which is not usual in Helsinki. But a bit about me, and then I will also go into my topic, which is a bit beyond the case. So this is about the topic, so human AI partnership, so designing and thinking the work for the next era. Petri already started in a superb way, so hopefully I can bring some additional insights into this one. A bit about me, AI-generated photo, of course. So what I do in my work life, so I work as a director for data and AI transformation advisory for a consultancy called Dane Studios. I've been in this position like 6 or so years. And I've also held some positions, in-house positions, leading corporate analytics data functions, whatnot, been in business strategy, new business development. And in my free time, as you can see, avid cross-country skier. Unfortunately, the ski season is coming to its end, but then I also do some ballet to keep me going. And a few words about Dane Studios. If Dane Studios is not a familiar company for you, so we are kind of like 60-person strong, nimble, small-ish consultancy. We have been doing data and AI since 2016, and even before the ChatGPT. Who knows? So what we do, so we do everything from AI strategies, AI implementation, building the skills in the organizations, building also then the technological foundations that they would need to implement more AI, and eventually reap the benefits of AI. But that's it about Dane. So I would like to start with a question. Does anyone know what is this one? So this is a novel by Kurt Vonnegut. It was written in 1952, the Olympic year of Helsinki. What is this novel about? No knowledge whatsoever. So this relates to the topic of today, because this was indeed published in the 50s, but it already depicted this a bit grim future where almost all labor has been replaced by mechanized robots, whatnot, whatever Kurt was able to envision. But do you think that this is the future of human labor? Knowledge work, physical work? Who thinks that this is the future? Couple of hands. Yeah, got it? All right. Let's go through the presentation and then maybe we can vote again. All right, what do we know about AI and their work? So what we already know, this basically depicts some of the newest tests that have been developed to measure the capabilities of AI, because the Turing test, that might be familiar for many of you, it's already too easy. So AI and the newest foundational models, so they pass this test with ease. So this, for example, involves a lot of image classification, but also really tests in this narrow setup, so that mathematical reasoning, PhD level questions, whatnot. And basically, AI outperforms majority of the humans in these narrow test contexts. Gen AI, familiar word probably for many, according to Jensen Huang, who stands here in the middle of this picture, very small. He stands in the stage of Consumer Electronics Summit held this year in Las Vegas in January, and he's saying that generative AI, old news, now head first into agentic AI and going very rapidly towards physical AI. A bit about AI agents. Who is familiar with the term? Quite many. Good. That's what I thought. Knowledgeable audience. So again, why I wanted to address and highlight the agentic AI is really that this is the game changer. So obviously, when ChatGPT was introduced, it was this nice assistant. But again, it still required us to do the thinking that, okay, what do I want to know? Then I'm prompting it, then I get an answer, and then I do something with that response. However, these AI agents, so these are now kind of like the watershed moment that these also do things with the information. They have capability to act, interact with different tools, and also think a bit longer that, okay, what is appropriate to really accomplish this task? And I will come back to this one that, okay, why these are relevant. Bear with me. About AI, automation, work replacement. So there have been many forecasts about this one. This one is from McKinsey. They have made two scenarios. So one kind of like late scenario, one early scenario, and then there is the midpoint of the scenario. And basically what this picture tells is like, okay, when do we reach the automation of 2020 work activities? And the midpoint of these scenarios is in 2045. And that basically means that, okay, by then, 50% of the 2020 knowledge work activities would be automated on average. And obviously these forecasts were made before this grand introduction of agentic AI, which we just learned that this is kind of like the actionable AI. So to me, this kind of hints that maybe this automation could happen already sooner. All right, moving on. So a bit about agentic. So if we think about the work, so work overall, whatever knowledge work usually, so it consists of skills, roles, tasks. And that's what we people do. And until now, so we have also been using a lot of different systems, a lot of pieces of software, robotic process automation, maybe a bit of AI. And yeah, that's good. And but now with these agents, so what we can already tell is that this is the new paradigm shift. Instead of using AI primarily as assistants or the narrow context AI, so for example, something that could optimize a bit of your supply chain or predict that, okay, what kind of websites you would be browsing next, because they also go under this vast umbrella of AI. But now we could really think or rethink, let's put it this way, processes. Where to use AI? What could these agents do? What could we automate? And where does human contribution really play a role? And really thinking these agents as co-workers, because I could give this agent X a role that, okay, please be a finance expert. I would give you the basic understanding that, okay, like you would give to a human colleague, that, okay, this is your role descriptions. These are your tools. You have access to, for example, SAP. You have access to our financial database, to this schema. You can retrieve information from this one to contribute to some other process or work chain. And the work goes on. So again, not only that agent, but then I could deploy new agents and welcome those ones as new colleagues into my process, into my organization. And 82% of organizations, this is a global survey, are already planning to develop and deploy these agents by 27. And in my company, Dane Studio, so this is already something that we have been doing for 1.5 years. Super interesting use cases. This is just an example that how these processes could be redesigned to really optimize this human-AI collaboration. Very standard process in almost all companies is credit to cash. It really consists of different sub-processes, different tasks, and so forth. And currently, this is the green line. So currently, orange line. So this is the as-is. So really kind of like involving quite a lot of human intervention. And is that the most efficient way to organize the process? Maybe not. But what if we could now welcome these new agent colleagues? Could we automate? Could we basically transition some of these tasks to be carried out by these colleagues? Maybe. What we know, and this was already what Petri told, that in knowledge work, AI, agentic AI, so we know that this is poised to happen, supercharging knowledge work, because now most of us, if not now, we will have these kind of like productivity tools at our disposal. They might also involve some agentic capabilities, but in very simple level, you could think of these ones as those assistants that almost every one of you is using on some level. And what we know also is that the spending in the companies, in the organizations, into these tools, so that is increasing. And so that will be liberating some part of these human work hours. And the question really is that, okay, what do we do with this extra time? Job decreases. So this is a study by McKinsey. And this is really something that, for sure, some changes will happen. It's already happening. But on the other hand, there probably are then contrary movements happening. New roles opening up, even positions that we were not sure that, okay, this is also happening. So we see both creative destruction, we see decreases, but on the other hand, at least for now, we also see increases. Again, very similar one, super tiny, don't worry. This is a study by World Economic Forum, Future of Jobs report, open report. Feel free to get familiar with the report. And again, similar story. Some of the positions, some of the jobs, some of the roles, they will diminish. They might even go away, replaced with AI automation. On the other hand, at least for the time being, we see demand for new roles, even the roles that were not there maybe 1 or 2 years ago. But so far, what we have been seeing, so the business demands for human capacity, so this has basically outpaced so the capacity that we have at the moment in the organizations, meaning that there is more to do that we are able to do at the moment. Because usually this is a thing, you really get a lot on your plate. You should do this, you should do that, and also the third thing, and preferably yesterday. And this is usually not possible. But maybe now, re-envisioning these processes, welcoming these new AI colleagues, maybe more will be possible. And this is also a study by BCG, and most executives, and the data was collected in the beginning of this year, global study. So executives see now AI and humans as complementary, and not directly that, okay, AI will immediately replace humans. And again, this other side, this other graph. So basically saying that, do you expect to hire more? Do you expect to increase the FTEs? Still, of course, there are companies who are increasing the headcount. But maybe most importantly, and this was also what Petri was addressing, that what do we do with the current employees? So probably we need to really upskill them, to welcome these new tools, to welcome these new colleagues, to increase their productivity, to increase their creativity. Okay, what do we expect to see? So again, we already discussed agentic AI. This will really change the skills and composition of the workforce. As we already discussed, all these levels probably will come, if they are not there already, using AI as assistant, human agent teams, really again, mostly agents, maybe human in charge. And again, we will have a lot of these tools. We will have a lot of agent colleagues. Again, you could think of this one. This is a study by Microsoft, also from this year, that every employee is becoming an agent's boss. Again, managing something, managing tasks, managing these colleagues. But on the other hand, this is not visible in this chart, but there are also some forecasts that you could also get agent bosses. Because again, many managers, so they take care of these mundane things, accepting when you put in a vacation requests, and managers hate that. Maybe an AI could do that. All right. And also one thing that is changing this work. So AI is becoming more democratized. We are already having lots of tools that allows us to use code, to be even more creative. The hottest new language in programming is English. Who has used these low-code AI tools to create something? Good. I'd say that 1/4. Nice. But overall, we are in this rapid pace of technology evolution. So what this is really causing in organizations and in work, that now there become these spikes, that a skill that was not there comes readily available, it spikes really rapidly, but then the next moment, 6 months passes, it's gone. This is happening already. I remember the discussion from last year. Everyone was like, oh, prompt engineering, that's the hottest job you could have. But again, how many people are that much addressing this one? Well, not that many. Skill flux. So do not invest in any single skill, because again, maybe it's gone. But also, on the other hand, do not wait for this one perfect skill or maybe technology to appear, but think what you can do with experimentation already at this very moment. A bit related topic. So if we think of the work and also like learning, education, this has been the thing. We studied, then we went to work, then we retired. And yeah, then government raised the age for retirement, and this was kind of like, this was the thing that was forecasted. Okay, this then happened. Yeah, we studied, then we were at work, people were at work, but then also life happened. For example, paper companies, so many people needed to re-educate themselves. And now what we are living is this era where many of you already have studied a lot, not only maybe your initial education, but something to really allow for. And as you are here today, you are taking note, you are thinking that, okay, what's next? And this cycle, so these kind of like working with the skills you have, this is becoming shorter and shorter and shorter. And do we ever retire? Or do we all retire prematurely? Who knows? The future, too blurry to forecast. Sorry, crystal ball, super dirty. Changes to what I am is how can I adapt? And this is about really the collaboration. So what we can see, there is this rapid evolution. We are poised to become generalists because the information really becomes very, very available. But also, what do we do with this general information? We can explore, we can invent. And this is the closing slide. Takeaways for you in practice. So really what I can think and what we are doing with many of our clients is really rethinking the processes. What is the best fit for this human AI collaboration, supported with automation? That we as humans, that we can do where we really thrive and not only retrieve and pass on information. No human should be doing that. This human AI sparring, so really using these tools as assistants, as counterparts, sounding boards, whatnot. So again, something that we strongly believe that this is something that really sparks innovation, something novel. And as said, these new skills and approaches to these roles and responsibilities. So continuous upskilling, that will be an imperative. And preferably, that would be AI enhanced, supported by AI a lot, being really hyper-personalized. And to close, echoing Petri, still at the end of the day, when we think about the roles and all these collaborations and what should organizations look like, humans stay accountable. You cannot outsource this responsibility. Oh, AI did this, it was wrong, it used faulty data and whatnot. You will be accountable. So, and also for the risk mitigation actions. But stay curious and innovate. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. And our last, third presentation is actually done by two gentlemen, but first we will have Mikko Alasaarla on the stage, and then you, at some phase, will give a hint to Teemu Linna from Sitra, so that the two of you will be here. So think the questions you want to address to our speakers. Mikko, and then a bit moment later, Teemu, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Mikko Alasaarla, and I'm an AI hacker. Founded multiple startups in Silicon Valley, in Berlin, Germany, and here in Finland over the years. I've been working with AI quite long. I started in Silicon Valley in 2007. It's getting so long that it's almost embarrassing to say in today's terms. But today, I'm going to give you a very short presentation on the transformation we are going through in terms of the evolution of AI and how organizations should rebuild themselves to reflect this reality. Let's start with the, with the statements. Both Sam Altman and Dario Amodei, two of the generational entrepreneurs of our time, have said that in the beginning of 2027, we have AGI. And both of them think of it as a mathematical certainty that's just about to be done. How do we get there? We need to give the AI's ability to use tools, have a persistent memory, and have a consistent world model in the models so that they can operate and realize like how everything relates to everything else. Out of these three, two already are pretty much solved problems. The tool use has been solved with MCP, Model Context Protocol. Persistent memory already exists in ChatGPT. Basically, it's only a cost problem that we have to figure out, like technically, to solve it for everybody in every use case. In terms of world model, that's the most complex part of this. So we may need to have some better innovations to get it done. But I do think that we can get there with LLMs only. This has meant already this evolution that the internet has been filled with AI-generated content. Beginning of 2024, it was already over 50%. Now we are way beyond 70%, and in beginning of 2026, it's going to be 90%. This means that most of the internet is already AI-generated. Not only is the content AI generated, but also out of internet traffic. In July last year, we passed 50% of internet traffic as bots. In Western Europe, it has been already way above this. In Ireland, for example, it was 75%. In Germany, 67%. I think we are going to hit 90% on bot traffic relatively quickly, simply because we already have so many different agentic use cases that agents go to these websites on our behalf. And also, lots of the agents are collecting information from websites for the purposes of running different tasks for companies. This means also that the websites designs should be now more geared towards agents. So I've been building my websites as mostly bot-focused websites, and that has been visible in me getting inbound from companies from all over the world saying that we were looking for a person who is the most knowledgeable person about AI native transformation, and ChatGPT said that it's you, so you must be the best expert. And the level of conviction on people when they see it on ChatGPT instead of in some kind of Google's link list is way higher. Bots are also replacing coders. All of the self-respecting senior developers already run a farm of agents to do the work for them. This enables the best coders to get absolutely insane amount of code done. I have a friend in Canada who shipped 10 million lines of code by himself last year to his clients, which is basically, in terms of a regular coder in the past, about 1,000 coders workload, a single guy. At the same time in Finland, I asked around from software development companies leaders how many of their projects are AI related. And if we look at as a backdrop that ChatGPT's price performance ratio went up 150 times in the 18 months, and at the same time only 4 to 10% of the projects in Finnish companies have been AI related, we are falling behind very, very fast with this rate. I would expect at this pace of change that we would be somewhere between 95 to 100% AI projects, simply just to keep up with the pace of the change. And this is the most important slide for you to understand. Currently, most people still don't use AI to perform their daily work. Majority who use AI are using ChatGPT or Copilot or something like this to do a small incremental improvement on their daily productivity. Those people who understand how to use agents, as we saw from the previous presentation, are able to make a multiplier on their productivity instead of these incremental changes. On the AI hacker circles, we are talking about tens of people's worth of work, sometimes hundreds of people's worth of work done by single individuals running a sophisticated set of agents. If we want to stay in this competition, any organization should look like this. Most people should use AI. Significant portion of those who use AI have to use agents to become significantly more productive than they have been before. And top performance should be able to perform at the 10x levels. We need this in order to jump in our productivity in the global rankings. If we do 3x productivity gains on our workforce, we can, as a full society, gain 1.5x and go to the top of the world, of course, assuming that the others are not running as fast as we are. with these developments. And the key to understand is that agents already can do everything. They can do thinking, they can do work, they can do assisting. All of these tasks can be delegated to agents. It's about the kind of like your own imagination, what you want to do with agents. And they are here to stay. There hasn't been a technological transformation in the history that I know of where the end game is so clear. In 2030, agents will do majority of our work. I mean, there is no question about it. It's just like, how fast are you going to run with this change? And also, when you think about a AI-native organization, you should start thinking how to actually automate your decision-making with AI. There's a lot of decisions done already in public and private organizations, and those decisions can be automated in phases. You can initially automate the preparatory work, then you automate the reasoning for the decision, and then at the end of the day, you can automate the decisions that are obvious. And this, of course, leads into everything changing really fast, and the companies have to be more fluid, more adaptive. The competitive edges are changing, the business models are changing, and the project completion times are shrinking very rapidly. And if you don't take this jump into this movement, you risk becoming obsolete in a very rapid time frame. The best part of this transition is that when you actually delegate the tasks to the agents, your own cognitive load goes down and you feel more relaxed. I always tell this story in every place I go. My wife was extremely worried at the beginning of the year that I will burn out because I took way more tasks than ever before on myself. Of course, I delegated them to my agents, and during the spring, the questions have been, are you even working? I'm so chill, and then I look at my data on my Garmin watch, and it's showing my stress levels going down at the same time as my productivity is absolutely skyrocketing. So yes, I do recommend every one of you to do the same thing, like just simply employ agents to make your life better. And if we do this, we can secure our welfare state. Simply by making our citizenry more AI capable and making our public sector AI native, we can actually go back into place where we have high productivity, low unemployment, and secured welfare services. But this jump requires a multifaceted program on all levels in Finland to get there. And for that, I would like to invite Teemu on the stage to ask some questions. So one of the things that I've been working on this year is to try to enable Finland to actually do this productivity jump and get into this AI bandwagon. And Teemu, of course, as one of the leading AI thinkers in the society, was a great guy to work with during the spring, figuring this out. So can you tell us a little bit what Sitra is doing for our welfare society in broad terms?
Well, this is just a little bit too early to tell exactly, because our project plan for how to implement AI into our strategy and into our value creation model is still about to be approved in our steering committee this week. But we have those plans, of course, ready. So what we are planning to, practically what Mikko just said, we need to improve the efficiency in Finland, we need to improve the innovation, and also make Finland a great place to have a company and to do excellent business again. One thing that we are for sure making is that we are going to turn Sitra AI first organization, so that everything that we start with is starting how could we implement these things efficiently with AI in general.
Yeah, so of course the change always starts from within.
Yeah.
So in your case, like when we have been discussing about the goals that we should set on the productivity gains inside the organization, what do you think is the appropriate level of goal now to set in this AI native world?
Well, that's a good question, because if you ask me, I think you should be talking about multiplying or 10 times multiplying the productivity of an employee. But some people still are thinking more like in percentage level. And that's pretty important thing to remember when you are talking about this AI revolution in your organizations, that please remember that we need to get everyone on board, and there is a lot of work to do on a change management perspective. We know, as Mikko and Nina and Petri already had their presentations, that everything is already possible to do today with AI and the technology. It's already there. But it's only 10% of the change management and the whole execution. 90% of how to complete this successfully is about the humans and the change management, the change leadership, the devotion of the management from top of the organizations. And with Sitra, we have this excellent situation that our president is very much supporting our plans how to go forward.
Yeah, so how do you see like now that the kind of speed of change is accelerating quite significantly? We have gone from Moore's law on technology into this 10x a year speed with AI. So how do you see it affecting the way that you do foresight inside Sitra?
Currently, we are doing some foresight piloting in Sitra and how to implement different kind of data sources to our foresight. But it's a little bit too early to go into details. We are doing collaboration with a Finnish startup and have had very successful results. But still, we have learned. Of course, we have learned a lot what works, what's not working. From the pace of innovation, the pace of how we work, that has increased with the support of AI.
Yeah, and in terms of, I mean, Sitra is of course funding a lot of the transformation projects, both in the public and private sector in this regard. So how do you see that funding process changing over time now that we are going towards this AI native future?
I believe that AI will also impact on that area. I have to emphasize that we don't have the decisions made, but there are a lot of opportunities with the funding area. For example, we could require the companies and the partners we are funding that they would implement the AI time, scale, tempo of working. I could say an example about our AI strategy, how we were implementing it with our work, with my colleagues. We have 10 days to finalize that document, how to implement AI for Sitra strategy. Everyone who were on board, involved in the beginning, asked that where is this pace coming from, and I said it's only from my head, because with the support of AI agents, the swarm of agents, we can do this much faster than previously, and it has proven to be true. And on Wednesday this week, the steering committee will receive our report. We started last Monday.
Yeah, and of course, like as we both know, like AI has played a big role in formulating all those strategic steps and other things. So the AI kind of acts like a thought partner also in these processes that are going forward. So how do you see the need for reskilling people in this massive change that we are facing?
I'm a humble guy with this, but I see an enormous requirement for reskilling. I don't believe that, even though I'm in a rabbit hole with AI and how AI could help us in the current today's work. Every week there is something new coming out. Last week there was Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, what else? Publishing new technological innovations. So you can't keep up with everything. But what about the reskilling? You have to adapt the mindset of continuous learning. Have to be open to do different kind of experiments, but also to be okay that fail and we learn something. Fail fast, or if something seems to be working well, go forward.
Yeah, and also like both of us have been working on our free time, basically building agents for ourselves to smoothen up some of the workloads and other things. Like, so how do you see the role of agents in supporting people's work in Sitra going forward?
I think that is an obvious answer in many ways. For example, we will be implementing team of agents for every specialist working at Sitra to support their everyday mundane tasks. But we also will improve our efficiency in a way that we will automate most of our mundane processes with AI agent teams, or at least with the process development. But at the same time, we need to have the end users in mind, and rather than talking about process or efficiency, I would like to talk about the human experience and the customer in the center of the focus.
Yeah, I mean, when you implement AI agents in a proper way in the organization, you may be able to achieve what I have here, like that the stress level in the organization goes down at the same time when the productivity goes up significantly. And with that, I think we are done. And thanks for listening. And I hope you guys got inspired about building your organization into an AI native world. This is a very rapid change that we are facing, and there's no time to wait.
Thank you. Thank you, Mikko and Teemu. Let's take questions, but also have Nina and Petri on the stage as well. So let's see what type of questions we have on the line. And Patrick kindly is passing the microphone here in the room. So anybody in the room to throw the first question? There, Anastasia.
Hi, thank you so much for the great presentations. The first question, maybe especially Mikko, because you mentioned about the AI tools that changed your particular work, but also for others. What personally you are using from the AI tools that you find the most impactful?
Yeah, so the question is that what tools do I find, or what kind of agent structures I find the most impactful on my work? Absolutely, the most impactful part has been a software development agent farm that I've been running since last autumn, and that has been evolving quite rapidly as well. So it has enabled me to basically build agents for anything I want. Publishing agents and and thinking agents and other things. So having agents that build me more agents has been the best and most productive part of this. Because if I have a task that comes to me that I don't want to do anymore, I just ask my agents to build me an agent that does that. And and just one more task out of my task list.
All right. Let me take a few questions from online. For Petri, how should schools and universities prepare students for jobs that will change because of AI?
Excellent question. That's a really big question and a very important question, because as we have AI agents doing things, we have to be able to assess what they are doing. For example, for the decision making, they are collecting evidence and so on. But in order to do that, we have to understand what is the relation between evidence and conclusions and so on. So we have to learn about these basic research skills. And we have to be able to organize teaching and examination in such a way that it actually guarantees that people get it. So, for example, writing essays, nowadays not very useful because it leads too many lazy students to just kind of use ChatGPT or other tools to kind of avoid the hard part. So they're outsourcing. Same thing with the MOOCs. That was to be a revolution in education. Now MOOCs are too easy because you can do advanced statistics with advanced statistic course with no knowledge of statistics, but just by using the GTP. So we have to rethink these things. Maybe bring back some old things. Handwritten exams, oral exams, and so on. So are you able to, for example, I'm teaching social science, I used to teach philosophy, so it's very important that you actually get the concepts right. So can you explain, can you actually use them without any aids? And this is kind of a basic skill that can be then expanded with AI tools. But I think we should also think about how to incorporate these tools. So rather than forbidding using, let's say, ChatGPT in writing essays, maybe the tax should be how, grading should be on how you improve on the basic output, in a sense that it's nice, it looks nice, but there's a lot can be improved, and expert can do that, and it's a measure of your expertise how much you improve that output.
Thank you, Petri. The next question is addressed to Nina. How can companies keep up when skills go out of date so quickly?
I think this is a super good one and relates to the previous point. But again, so they will go out of date and that is already happening. But it's really then being able to be super nimble and also, again, use AI to come to rescue, to really capture the knowledge, curate the knowledge, personalize the knowledge, deliver the knowledge. And again, be very bold in experimentation, exactly what Mikko said before. Because again, that's really the way to solidify those skills, to actually gain something out of those ones. And again, be adapted. So that's the only way, resilience, adaptation.
The next question comes from me to Teemu. Okay. Clearly, your chief, Atti Jääskeläinen, is a sponsor for this initiative, but what other things have been triggering or flaming up this journey that you are now on?
I think it's eventually a matter of circumstances, but also related to the Sitra's role in the Finnish nation. We are the future house built to make sure that Finland will flourish in the future too. And since I have been following this progress with AI for years and seeing the pace just keep getting up all the time, there has been a lot of internal work that me and Mikko and other people have been doing so that we could get the traction and move forward.
Yeah. But personally, I think it's a fascinating thing that an organization like Sitra is ladun avaaja, kind of doing this journey in Finland. I really hope that you will be able to share the painful learnings and the great learnings through media as months go by. So all the best for the journey, because you are using our money there.
No, actually we are using our fund which is possessed by Sitra, and all the the
interest payments
which it's producing, we use for our work. And yes, we are public here so that we can be the forerunners, trailblazers, and
also a catalyst.
Yeah, but
for others.
We will for most certainly help others avoid the problems that we might encounter.
Go, Sitra, go. I think there's the next question over there, so we'll take then.
Thank you. I just read a paper about expert systems in the 1980, and it talked about maybe the same vision, that there'll be machines that help doctors to make diagnoses or people to develop molecules. And that referred to the 1970s and tried to predict what will happen in the 1980s. So what do you think is different now? Because I've never seen those expert systems, even though I worked in expert areas. So
maybe I could go first, but I'm sure there are very insightful opinions, others as well. So I think that what is now different is really the pace of technology and the convergence. So not only are these foundational models progressing, but really the efficiency in computing, and then on addition, living intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, whatnot. So this is something that was not happening. They were rather distant and they were quite exclusive. Whereas these are now technologies that really have become available for almost any one of us. And again, so really this convergence is usually something where we see that something big is really happening. So I think that this is at least one big difference.
Yeah. To add on that a little bit, AI is the first technology that is able to self-improve all the time. So we've seen these like multiple multiplication factors coming on top of each other when the model's structure improves, model's content improves, model's like learning capability improves, and then all of those people who are using those models are also using tools with the models to improve themselves. So it becomes this kind of recursive loop where we have gone from this Moore's law into like way faster progress. And the progress is, we have made so much progress in such a short time frame that even if we stopped completely all development in all AI fields at this current state, we would still see a massive disruption in the coming year from simply this technology coming into use. So that's the pace of change that we are seeing.
All right.
But
I think there's
maybe I could add something. I think one thing has remained constant is this, the tendency of people to underestimate the complexity of problems they are facing, especially when they are dealing with issues that they don't have full understanding. So when you are talking about expertise, we have very kind of and used to have very kind of a vague idea what the experts do and what it consists of. So a good example was this, there was prediction that radiologists would vanish in 5 years. That was prediction was then 10 or 15 years ago. But actually the number of radiologists have increased because prediction was based on a faulty understanding what radiologists do.
I think it's 3 or 4 hands. I think we take first question there, and then over there, and then 2 over there. So, please.
Okay. Earlier, it was assumed that machines would take over the manual or physical labor, and humans would do the thinking. With AI now doing the thinking, has it been reversed? That human beings will now do the plumbing job and the electrician's job and arranging the chairs and setting the stage, whereas AI will do the thinking? Thank you.
Actually, if we read the studies, so this is exactly what is happening. So yes, there is an increase in certain amount of knowledge type of work, but there has been much bigger increase in certain professions that really require the physical labor, at least so far. But this is exactly because we are behind in general robotics. But again, as Mikko was saying, so with the pace of this technology and also not only in AI, but AI then accelerating the evolution in robotics. So is this then sustainable? So I don't know, but how about others?
Yeah, I mean, I already have friends who have ordered these humanoid robots as James helpers at their home. So I wouldn't make a lot of bets the manual labor being a long-term, I mean, being safe long-term from the progress of robotics. And AI also already makes robotics easy to apply for lots of different use cases. Yeah, it's an interesting times that we live in. Like, we cannot predict the future, like how this will affect our societies.
Who knows, maybe this event will be called soon AI and robotics, or AI and...
and nanotechnology and living intelligence.
Monday.
Quantum computing.
Kati, next question, please.
Thank you for the presentations. I have a question regarding the growth scenarios, like globally. As we know, the energy and water input that it has, and also the kind of climate and ecological crisis that we are living and facing, and it doesn't run away. So how do you see that these trends can be fit together, or is it like actually then sabotaging your scenarios? How do you see the fit? Thank you.
Yeah, so there's multiple different developments currently happening in terms of data center efficiency and also the model efficiency. And for example, what I already showed in my presentation, so ChatGPT has gone 150 times more efficient in the span of 18 months. And this efficiency increase is directly visible in the electricity used for the model for the same intellectual task that the models are doing. If we continue at the current pace, which is 10x a year, we would have to grow more than 10x a year in terms of AI usage to basically even use the same amount of electricity for the models. We are currently going faster than that, so yes, we are going to increase the amount of data centers. But we at the same time have also innovators coming in from multiple other fields of life. So a entrepreneur friend of mine in London just put out a announcement about the new chip that they are building, which is able to recycle kind of like the waste heat back into electricity inside the chips so that you can have 50% more efficient AI chips. Simply by recycling the energy inside the chips. And, you know, and these kind of breakthrough innovations happening at the same time with the efficiency of the models and other things. So I don't think we will hit any kind of like trouble eventually. Like it's a very temporary problem that we are currently seeing in terms of energy use.
I'm not too sure. So I think that again, so the amount of computation, so it is increasing, and usually the physical world comes behind. So again, we might end up into a situation where we do have a lot of demand, which we are not able to satisfy exactly because of this. However, again, I would like to echo Mikko a bit, because also like these data centers, and obviously they use a lot of electricity, they use a lot of energy. So, but again, they can contribute in a good way. So for example, they can, for example, contribute into giving up their extra heat, which they are obviously producing a lot. And so that's a way to, again, be more energy efficient in a more sustainable way.
Hope these predictions are more true than less. Let's take 3 more questions, please.
Okay, thank you very much for super insightful presentations. We heard that it sounded like Finnish companies and organizations are really lacking behind, and there is not a proper sense of urgency. And then we heard that it's actually quite complicated to start implementing AI in the organization. As you said, that about 90% of the success still depends on the humans and human AI interaction. So my question would be, is for everyone, all of you, what are 2, 3 key guidance or hints for organizations as a summary, how to start becoming an AI native company and kick off this journey? Maybe Mikko, okay?
Brilliant
Teemu
question.
will start.
Very short answers, please.
Yeah, the easy one this time. First of all, you need to start. Start by thinking, in any case, how can AI help me with this task? That's easy one. The second one, that AI is running on data, so put your data in good condition. Third one is you need to be really, really, really brave and have the courage to test. And I'm sure that when we train, we will fail, but we should take this failure as an insight or understanding how things don't work. And instead of pivot, not giving up, but pivot, change, and try something else, and improve your prompts.
Yeah, short answers, everyone,
Super.
please.
Again, fully seconding their start. That's the first thing. But then again, so really this individual exploration, I think this really cultivates the appetite. And thirdly, it's also like not only these individual things, but also think of the big things and do less of the big things, but do more impactful things.
Yeah, so if I say any advice to a little bit larger organization, so if you have an existing organization that has maybe tens of or hundreds of employees or more, then I think the best way to do is to first build the safeguards, meaning that you build the basics, like how the data is being used, who has access to what data, and that. And if you put the basics together, it's very easy to deploy a lot of agents without risks for the organization. And this kind of risk mitigation is very important to start with. Yes. And that's also what Sitra is doing currently, to basically enable a lot of agents to be running on the system without everybody having to worry about it too much.
Is it now second or third, if I second you?
Yeah. Petri, you are two top
Basically
tips.
the same thing, but I think a key thing is that much of the development will happen inside the companies. So it's not something that you can outsource, and this is kind of different from our earlier phases of adopting new software.
Yeah, so currently a lot of the companies are actually building their own environments simply because the data is so critical, like for the AI systems, that the data is very hard to outsource in a proper sense. So yeah, you're right.
But I still would emphasize and embrace that we should do collaboration in Finland and learn from each others instead of competing. There are like 5 billion, 6 billion human in the world and 5 million 6 million Finnish, so it's 1/10 of 1,000th of the whole population.
Absolutely.
All right, second last question from the gentleman over there, and then the last question will go over you. You've been very patient there. Please.
Yeah, thanks for great presentations. So I have a little question for Petri. Do you have some thoughts on like how the new AI tools might impact the educational system and whether or not the educational system should adapt? Probably not a super straightforward questions, but do you have some thoughts on the topic?
Not that many. I already presented some, but I think education needs rethinking, and I think we should focus more on basic skills of analyzing argumentation, analyzing the connection between data and conclusions, and so on. And these are hard things to learn, and I don't think we have been very good at that, so this is a great opportunity. But one way we could use AI is to kind of get off this mindset where it's kind of a cheating tool, and it's more like a tutoring tool in a sense that kind of AI coaching. So it might ask misleading and wrong questions, but understanding why question is wrong might be an excellent opportunity for learning. So we need, crucially, this kind of a software development where we could utilize AI to learn, to aid learning.
All right, and we have time for one last question, please.
Thank you for this wonderful presentation, by the way, very informative and insightful. You actually took part of my last question regarding the education, so thank you for answering that. It's not an easy question. The question that I have has to do with a conversation, first of all, regarding what Timo said about the human aspect of this. I had a conversation about 3 years ago. I'm from New York City. I'm in AI, but from the US. I had a conversation with a woman who runs an accelerator here in Finland, in Helsinki. And this was about 3 years ago. So this was actually before ChatGPT, just before ChatGPT came out. And I will never forget, we had a conversation about AI, and she said to me these words. She said, I don't understand why Finns aren't talking about AI. We're intelligent people, we're smart, we're driven. Why aren't we having these conversations? And I took that back with me to the US because I thought, certainly not only Finland is having, these questions about why AI is not really permeating through society. So my question to all of you is, since then, 3 years since, and now that AI is now sort of mainstream, would you agree that that's still the case? Is Finland becoming more AI, focused with the public, the general public? And is there research that is documenting how AI is becoming more embedded in the culture with ordinary people who may not be tech savvy? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Super good one.
If I start with what has happened is that why people are talking about AI is because ChatGPT made it like consumerized. It's very easy to use and lowers the
barrier of entry.
Yeah. And maybe some other knows better details about the research, but what we are doing in Sitra is, of course, we try to be the trailblazer, the forerunner, to show hopefully good example for the Finnish organizations in both in public and private sector, so that there can be beneficial to go forward and adapt the AI first strategy in all of the operations.
I think that in the previous AI Monday, was it at the very end of March, I also had a keynote and I was talking about when AI becomes not only AI in projects, AI this, AI that, but again, business as usual AI. So it becoming so prevalent that no one kind of like distinguishes AI from the kind of like the way of doing business, of interacting with others, of doing this, of doing that. Let that be personal or work related. So I think that we are still very much in the transition phase. We are not there. We are not there in this business as usual AI. But again, maybe with these examples like Sitra, so maybe that will become part of reality.
Hope so. As I see it, I think there's an increasing understanding of importance of data literacy, understanding of the role of algorithms and so on. And this is a generic understanding of how things work, but the pace of learning is much slower than the pace of new things. And for example, all the agentic AI, I badly fear that society is not ready for that, in a sense that people don't understand what it could mean. And I'm now talking people in a broad sense, not just kind of working life adults, but think about elderly people. Think about the opportunities for synthetic voice, language model enabled agents and so on, what kind of damage they can do by just using phones.
Yes.
And I think we need a lot of societal discussion about guide rails and rules for how these agents can be used and how they can behave and what should be done to keep, let's say, social order.
That's good, right? Great. Because again, they will be used for bad, for sure, like anything.
Yeah. So I mean, as a quick recap, ChatGPT has become for many already a replacement for Google, like searching information, summarizing information, also writing information. But at the same time, like the awareness of the agentic use cases and all of the other ways that AI can be applied for very clear productivity benefits and other things, I think the awareness is still relatively low in Finland around those topics. So what we are trying to do here is to raise the awareness that think beyond the ChatGPT. Like the ChatGPT was the start, but you know the game is already moved forward, and you know we need to be in that game.
And that's a perfect way to thank everybody on the line and wishing folks online and in this room a brilliant summer. This was the last AI Monday of the spring season here, so the long summer is starting. The sun is shining so brightly that a few weeks from now, I think we can't see or show anything in this room. We are closing the line now, but our speakers and anyone who wishes to stay here for networking and asking questions directly for our 4 experts plus Patrick, I think we could still do one more round of applause and then we close the line. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saat matkan meitä selfien.